Hello, and welcome to Unsheathed with your hosts, Kyle Gold and Cam Hirosaki. We hope that you enjoy the program. Please stick around afterwards. There'll be cake and blowjobs.
Hi, welcome to Unsheathed. We're drifting away from the world of episode numbers because they make it confused. And so
I maintain that might change again in the future. That's not me, though.
We are a fluid podcast in a couple different ways. And anyway, we are here back in the Mountain Bunker.
Yep.
I am Kyle Gold.
I'm Cam Hirosaki.
And we have as our guest...
Long-time returning champion, I suppose. Hey guys, it's Flain. I'm not just hidden away somewhere. I actually still exist, I suppose.
Does exist.
Yeah.
And are you going to talk about some of the things that you've been doing over the past...
Do you want... Hey man, do you want to know about some crazy... All right.
Oh, do we?
Oh, do you? I could talk about it at length over almost 100 episodes worth. But
give us the kind of recap.
Okay, so I don't know if you've... Okay, so round about a year
there's this
ago,
show.
There's a show that happened, and I decided as, an investigative journalist, that it was important that we have someone in on the inside to know what these bronies are all up to. So I obviously took the bullet for all the rest of you, and made it so that you, I'm deep inside. They believe I'm one of them.
It's like that episode of Star Trek The Next Generation where Counselor Troy goes undercover as a member of the Romulan Tal Shiar.
Oh, there you go. What's he talking about?
Wow. who had the Star Trek reference before the Star Wars reference this episode?
But
nobody.
Nobody. Yeah. Probably nobody.
But,
and the two people out there who are listening are like, Tal Shiar, fuck, like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm in it, dude. It's awesome. But yeah, I have, little known fact, and those that have probably been looking on my Twitter feed believe that I've evaporated off the face of the planet. No, I have, quasi-secretly, quasi-not really, have a podcast, the Bronyville podcast, that, as said, almost 100 episodes.
Which has achieved quite a bit of renown.
Oh, geez.
They put us to shame.
Yeah, I don't mind saying it, but yeah, we have over, what's the 90-day downloads at this point is roughly like 80,000 individual audio files.
God damn.
And this has been a drop off.
That's insane.
This has dropped off considerably because it's summer.
Oh, congratulations. That's really awesome.
It's great. We've been able to talk with many of the VAs, the people that have been in the production staff of the show. Our main thing is kind of similar to the furry, back when I did Clawcast and Anthropod was just kind of like, listen, I enjoying the silly. I enjoy that, but I also don't mind, I also like to keep it show appropriate. If you are, this may give away a little bit, but if you are a fan of Notcast, you may know my co-host may be a little bit familiar sounding, as he is from that show as well.
I believe he might have done some recording for us at some point also.
May have.
Mm-hmm. I think he was on a show.
P.S. It's Savrin. So,
I thought it was Panther.
Yeah, but yes, it's it's just me talking the whole time.
Yeah. Well, I know Panther's a huge brony.
Yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely.
Are you trying to get us fired?
Absolutely. Yeah. He actually, Savrin showed me like an OC someone drew for him, and supposedly the words were just seething hatred. Or just a strong eye roll in his general direction. But yeah, we've been doing this show, and it's been exceptionally popular. We're able to get a lot of coverage in this crazy community. And dude, I could go on forever about them. They are crazy in the best, in the absolute worst ways. And the way I see it is I'm just almost cataloging the strange, just the rise and the... In the amount of time I've been with these guys, they have progressed. The furry's been around for, 20 years? Is that what we're about going for?
More than that.
I'm I'm going to say 30-ish.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
In their current
early
form.
80s, yeah.
Yeah, early mid 80s.
I have seen them progress through all the stages of like the furry fandom in a year and a half. Like
Wow.
literally just through the, oh my god, this fandom is so awesome, this is amazing, and then like the first tale of we're starting to get some bad media. Oh crap, everyone go nuts, and then people over obsessing about things, and then the flood of
Like,
porn.
I love that people are
and-
like jaded and burnt out on it already. I'm like, your fandom's not old enough to walk. Like,
And then you have people who are kind of like, no, this is what our fandom's about. No, this is what our fandom's about.
There's actually oddly kind of a burn fur movement that's going on right now with a lot of people that are going around kind of being like, no, we have to completely sanitize the fandom and make sure that there is absolutely nothing wrong in it. And I'm just kind of the fact of, I follow the idea of, listen, let that stuff just be somewhere, just as long as kids don't get it, I don't really care.
Right.
You know, it's just
Is it like burned hoof?
and yeah, something like that. It's just, you know, it's the entire thing of, you know, people are going to Rule 34. I'm sorry, it's just going to happen. It's the internet. But
Right.
you know,
That's why it's a rule.
Yeah. So
I mean, if they'll do it to the NFL, they'll do it to...
Mythbusters. What? Oh.
God damn it, internet.
So yeah, that's been what I'm up to. If you are at all interested, go to iTunes, look for Bronyville Podcast. I think last episode we had 717 ratings.
Nice.
And we are over 705 stars.
Wow.
We've been hitting that day one, and we are actually top 20, like top 25 to 30 if you go to the TV podcasts. Like up there with Breaking Bad and crap like that. It's nuts. It's nuts.
I was going to say, like, I think
That's
if you go to
awesome.
our reviews, you get basically stuff that says, you know, one of these guys' voice puts me to sleep and neither of them know anything about writing. Do not listen.
Oh, that was only the first one. After that, we got a bunch of nice reviews. But we have like maybe 10.
Yeah, I know. Our 9 listeners came to our defense.
Anyway, we have more than that.
No, I know.
But speaking of the NFL,
Oh, yeah.
it is that time of year, and since Flain is here,
I purposefully forget what I chose last year.
yeah, I have no idea what I chose last year either.
I
Oh, I
remember.
do remember. I chose the Ravens, didn't I?
Yeah.
And I was one sort of pass defense away from being right.
I'm looking through and I'm trying to remember. I have to, for some reason, I think I chose Packers.
So yeah, I think you did.
Yeah.
I think you told me that.
And then everybody got totally confused.
So we're picking our 2 Super Bowl teams, and then we can pick a champion.
All right. Do you want me to go first? You're looking at me.
Why don't
Alex,
you go
actually.
first? Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go with Pats Niners. And I'm going to give it to the Pats.
Would you now?
I would.
You would.
Of course you are.
Yeah.
Assuming they can hit a field goal at the end of the game.
Pow! That's
Which,
relevant.
hey, you know what? That's what happened to the Ravens last year in the playoffs. So
Wow.
exact same thing, wide left.
Very true.
Oh, wait, so I saw it happening. I actually was in public and I shouted at the TV. Like, I just looked up and I'm just like, okay, and I'm watching. And I'm like, all right, it's a short field goal. And I just see them. It hasn't even, like, gone up yet. I'm just like, no! And then just shanks. I'm just
Just
like,
the karma Finnick just came by and nudged him in the shins. No!
is that a thing?
Sure, why not? Just became one.
All right.
Just walks around in a big white robe, kicks people in the shins. Just happens.
Played by Warwick Davis.
My turn?
Sure.
Okay.
Why don't you go?
I think, all right, I'm looking through, and I cannot remember teams to save my life. Let's see. I think I'm going to go with, it's so tempting to go back to Green Bay. I don't know. Okay, so on the other side, I think I'm going to go with the Ravens. You know, they have, when they can stay consistent, they are a powerhouse. If, unfortunately, that is sometimes hard to rely on, but you know, I think that they have. I mean, a lot of the choices that are here, I'm kind of looking. I'm not as hot, and the Steelers haven't been keeping with it. I don't believe in Tebow enough that he can push through. I mean, it really.
You're not allowed to say Jets on my podcast. I'm sorry.
I mean, it really comes down when I look at the. You know, I look at the American League, and it's just it's kind of just boils down to Patriots or Ravens to me, and I just think I'm going to have to go with the Ravens. As for, national, oh boy, I always want to say the Falcons are going to do well, but I always know first or second round they are out.
They can at least make it to the playoffs pretty reliably.
They're pretty good, just like the Braves. Yep.
Or the Sharks.
The Panthers are looking not.
If there's hockey this year, maybe we'll see that again.
In the South, I completely believe it's going to be Falcons, Panthers, then the Saints and the Bucks. This entire the entire gate thing. Everybody's like, no, the Saints will be fine. Come on, no. Yeah, so they're dropping.
Saints off to a bad start.
Oh yeah, 0-2, yeah.
Yeah, everything I've heard seems to indicate that they really do miss their head coach. Like, not like they're sad, but they're just not prepared for the games.
I go to his office and there's another guy there. I feel uncomfortable.
I wanted to run with the football, but what's the point?
I want old Darren back.
No. All right, so let me see. I'll have to go with, tell you what, I will go, the game before, I'm going to go with, why not? Packers, Falcons, and then Packers have it, and it's Ravens versus Packers, and I'll go Ravens. Why not?
Nobody loves the NFC.
I actually think the NFC is going to win again this year. But I'm going to go with a little bit of a surprise on the AFC side.
It's up. There's bated breath being.
What is it going to be?
There's 15 seconds of silence on this show.
Kid Silver looks like a kid on Christmas. Like, is there a pony in my stocking?
Tim Tebow pops back out. He's been playing for the Broncos the whole time. Say it,
Kid.
Say it. Say it. Do you need to look at the list of teams?
No, I know.
Okay.
I know the teams. I know what Kit wants me to say. Kit wants me to say Denver, and I think Denver looks really good.
No, they're going to lose tomorrow, so. And then the move of the head behind me. It's all in if you believe the hype of if Peyton is really 100%. He
did good last week.
Well, I don't think he's 100%, but I think 80% of Peyton is still better than 100% of most other quarterbacks in the league.
As said, people, I think John Silver or somebody over at Yahoo brought up the point of just like Peyton was going like, whenever I needed to, I dialed it in. And he was just like, if you were just dialing it in at times, you were doing a really good job dialing it in.
Yeah, I mean, that's a guy who's dialing it in is still better than when most quarterbacks sit and think about what they're doing. I mean, because he knows the game so well.
Anyone who put up with years of David Garrard certainly knows that. I don't know why.
I don't know why the random shot at David Garrard.
I know. I was trying to pick when you said 80% of Peyton Manning is still better than 100% of a lot of other quarterbacks. I'm just like, who do I know that I can think of the top of my head that fits that bill? The first person to pop into my mind was David Garrard.
Well, He's not even starting anywhere for anyone.
I know.
Well, I mean, it's more than
There's
evident
a reason for that.
Indianapolis when the 1 year he was there and then the next year that he was gone, the subsequent hey, we're really good and we're a playoff contender, and then he 1 year off and it's just like, yeah, so we got the first pick.
Yeah, 2 wins.
Make or break quarterbacks on that.
All right, we need to get your picks out.
From your heart.
I know.
The Browns, I knew it. All right, moving on.
I was you could make a strong case for Denver, and I would not be surprised to see Denver in the playoffs. I don't believe they're going to make it to the Super Bowl this year, but I think they will make it with Peyton. I'm actually picking Houston from the AFC this year to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I was going like, ooh.
And I believe that they will end up playing the Niners.
I was going to say, I think the Niners have a fire.
And I'm going to give it to the Niners.
Yeah, there you go.
bringing a trophy back to the Bay Area.
Yeah.
First time since '94.
I mean, I think that after the NFC
Not like
game,
Oakland's
after
gonna
the
do
NFC
it.
championship last year, like just getting robbed and then coming in like week 1, hitting, taking down Green Bay at home. That showed a lot of like they're in it to they're playing for keeps.
And Kit would like to register his picks as the Denver Broncos versus the San Francisco 49ers in a rematch of Super Bowl. The Super Bowl that Kit does not
Super
believe
Bowl
ever happened.
X. No, I
But he sees Denver winning it. I would be delighted if that happened. So there's our picks.
Yep. At the time of this recording, San Francisco is up 7-3.
Looks like that was Super Bowl 24.
Awesome.
And then tomorrow the good
yeah.
game plays. So.
And then tomorrow, yes, I'll note that most of the teams that we've picked for the Super Bowl have only played one game. San Francisco and Denver and Atlanta. Well, you didn't pick Atlanta. But.
Yeah, I would love to actually hang my hat. I love Matt Ryan. I think he's fantastic, and I think he is a better pick overall than Michael Vick.
I made the mistake of benching Matt Ryan in my fantasy league last week. Well, because the Bucks were playing Carolina. Like, I'll put Freeman in. No,
Yeah.
bad call. Bad call. Matt Ryan had an amazing game.
Yeah.
Yep.
When, just as long as the, I think that the offensive line for the Falcons have done an amazing job giving him enough time in the pocket. I think that they have.
That's an
finally
important
matured.
thing for a team to make scores.
Yes. I'm trying to think who I was watching last week where the offensive line just gave him no protection at all. Might have been Chicago.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Chicago
Yeah.
was especially bad on that.
That was a terrible game.
I almost feel bad for Chicago, but there's so much like genetic hatred, enmity for the Patriots versus the Bears, just from the 80s.
Just from that one Super Bowl in the 80s?
Yeah, but it stuck with us.
Okay.
Bury the Bears. People would wear like Bury the Bears T-shirts for years after that. Then we had Squish the Fish.
I don't have any. I don't have any particular love for the Bears myself. But there was an interesting article out about the Bears receiver stats. Mm-hmm. Do you know? First of all, can you name a star Chicago Bears wide receiver?
No.
Yeah, no, I can't.
Do you know who holds the record for receiving yards in a season for the Bears?
Like franchise history?
Franchise history.
No, I don't.
Is it above 40 yards?
I think they have like 2,000 or 3,000 yard receivers ever in their history.
I was just like, I don't think of the Bears as a passing team.
They're not.
It is
Yeah.
a gentleman by the name of Marcus Robinson.
Bears kind of have that philosophy of believing a pass
whom I
is a
recall
trick play.
from the 90s, but
Yeah, that
think the
name
90s.
doesn't quite ring a bell.
yeah, no, Marcus Robinson, he is your all-time leader. This was in context of what's his name, Brandon Marshall going to the Bears.
Oh yeah,
People saying, "Oh, he's going to shatter all those records because
not this week.
Yeah, not this week, not so much." So we have a few questions which we should get to because Kit put.
Oh yeah, we're a writing podcast.
putting the time in.
Hey, and my NHL picks are that we may not have it.
What's hockey?
Oh no, we're supposed to play now. Oh,
Do we follow baseball enough to have baseball picks?
no,
Not anymore this season.
Yeah,
Someone will score home runs and win it.
I know what one of yours is.
Wow, do you?
Ish.
I don't think you do.
Oh, okay.
I would adore if Chipper was able to win the pennant again.
His last year.
Just on his last year, that would be great. But as I said, Atlanta sport team are so inconsistent between losing and then moving to other cities that
Yeah, I'm kind of off the top of my head going to say I want to see. I don't want to see. I'm thinking we might see Giants Rays.
I'm down for some Giants.
Would you be?
Hey, remember we had that what was it, Game 6 during our live show a couple of years ago?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was an exciting game.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Anyway, to the letters.
Yay!
The first one's real short and is a question for Kit, actually.
Wow.
Well, not specifically for Kit, but I'm going to toss it out to him, and he can sign language it back to me. The question is from the Ghetto Wolf, and he says, "Hey guys, I came across your podcast, and it's cool. Just wondering when you are going to come back to Vegas." We'll be back there. We'll be back there New Year's of this year, but I don't know that we have a show planned to do. Maybe if the stars align, we will do a show. What? Follow us on Twitter. And by us, I mean us individually. KM Hirosaki and Kyle Gold.
Yeah.
It looks like find us pretty easily.
Google
Google works great, guys.
Looks like I'm taking my first trip to Vegas in February.
Oh, awesome. What are you going for?
There is, oh my God, the name of this convention is ridiculous, but I love it. It is the Las Pegasus Unicon.
Wow.
What?
An earthly adventure. Yup. But they are like, if they're throwing everything, they're just like, here's a table, we'll fly you, here's all the things, here's your room. You know, I'm like, all right, fine. I'll go to Vegas for free. All right.
Wow.
The Riviera?
Oh, not bad. North Strip.
My goal is to find people to go out to dinner with at Gordon Ramsay Steak in the Paris. After being a big fan of Hell's Kitchen this past season, that's what the winner got to be chef there. And Kyle doesn't eat steak, so I mean, I need to find somebody else to go with. Oh, I'm sure they have like fish and stuff too.
Enjoy your beets.
All right. Dear Unsheathed crew, KM Hirosaki, Kyle Gold, Kit, and whomever might be in the live studio audience at the time.
That's me.
He's not the audience; he's a participant.
Right. Back in, I'm redacting some of this letter, so when you listen and hear it, it's not that it didn't come all the way through. It's just that it was really long. Back in 2008, I started scribbling a short story based on the question, what would a dragon do about commuter traffic? And thanks to being able to plink away, it slowly evolved into a novella, which has grown and keeps growing as ideas and thoughts are wont to do. Luckily, thanks to Google Docs, I've kept at it, having not lost any writing due to hard drive crashes, losing my day job, or moving across the country. Sounds like life has been interesting since 2008 for you. As of this point, I've got the whole plot jotted down, but as I went to start fleshing out the individual chapters, stringing, wow, this is some dialogue, I should write this, wow, this is some good dialogue, I should write this down, bits I'd put down in notebooks over the last few years, I realized I'm on chapter 9 at 90,000 plus words in. I grabbed the sheaf of notes I'd penned and transcribed them all into a unified outline of all the plot details I want, and realized that I don't have one novel, I have a trilogy. My current plan is to keep going until the story's done. As it was put, I owe it to the characters to tell the story right, I owe it to myself to finish the novel. When the main trilogy is done, and before I make the first of however many it takes editing passes at the books, glad you're planning on that, I plan on taking a break and see if I can provide enough plot pieces to coax a friend to finish stories that could be set in a similar universe. Anyway, how would you approach a publisher with a published-ready trilogy? Someone suggested I publish the first one and get a contract to write the other two, even if I wasn't done writing the others yet. Since RMFC, I've been keeping to a professional schedule of writing 1,500 plus words per day. Some days I'll let short skits of the interactions of my characters pan out. Some days I'll write about, like how would a dragon hiding in the city find a reliable dental practitioner or deal with managed health care? Anyway, TLDR, I've got a huge
DMOs.
I've got a huge, massive wad of a trilogy. How to convince a publisher to take the load. Cheers, Zarnth, cunning linguist, and blowjob aficionado.
Whoa.
Yeah, that kind of snuck in there right there at the end.
Hey!
By the way, sex.
By the way, yes.
Put down what you're good at.
Apparently bisexual oral.
Yeah, apparently so.
It's a very weird thing to see on your business card.
So, Flain, you were just talking to us earlier about a huge literary tome that had come your way.
Yeah. Back to Pony.
Hold on, it's time for some more of this wine.
All right, so get this. So the Bronies are really ridiculously creative, and music is one of the big places, but they've done a ton of fiction, and there's 2 or 3 that are like considered big names within the fandom, and the one that keeps coming up over and over again, and I've never read because you will soon find out, there is something called Fallout Equestria. It is exactly what you think about it. Take My Little Ponies and smack Fallout into it, and that's what you get. And it has a pretty big fan following within the community and has spawned like side series and people like attempting to make video games based off. I'm not kidding you.
Wow.
why
how
is
do
the
people?
line gone?
So how do people approach it? Do they approach it all as one thing, or is it serialized in places, or that people can read it online, or
Yeah.
how is it distributed?
I mean, the first K-Cat was the original creator of the first one, and the original book finished at somewhere around, I believe it was 800,000, 6,000 words.
600,000. 608,000.
608,000, there you go. So larger than War and Peace. But, you know...
As I pointed out, that's 5 times as long as my first novel.
Yeah, it's straight ridiculous, and it's one of those things of just like everybody loves it. It's one of those things of just like I'll read the Cliff's Notes version. It's too big.
So do people kind of get it as just one big file, or is it online somewhere, or like?
Yeah, you can get it. So it comes as a regular file. You can just read it online. There's several websites. FemFiction is the big one for My Little Pony stuff, but it's on one of the other ones like the My Little Pony Fiction Archives, I believe, and it's available there. People have done YouTube readings of it, or you can find audio recordings from multiple people reading the actual story. And recently, they did with Fallout Equestria and some of the side stories, they did a Kickstarter to do one-off printings for it. So they actually had hardbound black printings of it, and they came in 6 books, and it was about 5-6 inches deep by the time you were done. It was crazy.
Do you want to give us a brief summary of what Fallout is for people who might not be familiar with it?
So Fallout is a video game series that started a while back. They're up to, for their main series, there's 4 games in the main series, plus several spin-offs. But basically the idea is that it's sort of a 1950s-esque, like, retro future thing. The premise is that, imagine if, like, the Cold War had, like, turned into this big, just nuclear devastation of the world, and then, you have this sort of this post-apocalyptic vision of the future, as if it were from, like, the 50s.
Mm-hmm. So basically, it's post-apocalyptic ponies.
Yeah, and it's instead of nukes, it's magic of some form,
Gotcha.
and it has many of the same trappings: Pip-Boys, vaults, things like that. Everything that's found in the games, and then it's. I think the main interest is it's taking something that is so sanitized and made for kids, and then it puts kind of a darker sheen on top of it. I think that's why it appeals to so many, because it's not taking the original characters, it's taking a completely different set of characters, completely out of the canon, but they get to play with like the slight bit of backstory that has been given for the TV series that they can actually kind of toy with.
So yeah, and the reason I asked about it was. One of the things that I'm thinking about is when you have a trilogy like this, I mean, technically the way to approach a publisher with it is send shop the first book, let them know it's the first book in a trilogy. If they're interested in the first book, they will come back and ask you for synopses of what happens in the second and third book so they can see where the story goes if they like the first book. I mean, so that's it. It's not that complicated. Shop the first book as on its own, let them know that it's part of a trilogy so that when they get to the ending and the story is not completely finished, but your arc, some arcs should finish in the first book.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they're going to want to know where the trilogy is going, and they want to know that you know where it's going.
Right.
Yeah, don't. I think the important thing for a first one would be give some resolution, but give yourself. I would say, especially for the first one, give it enough resolution that it could stand by its own and just be that single book, but give yourself enough like little tales out of it that you can keep going.
Otherwise, you will have written The Architect of Sleep, and people will hate you forever.
Yes. And also, and I've done this now twice with books that got too long and I had to chop them into pieces. You may find that you don't want to just like end the first book in the middle of the story. You may find that you start taking resolutions that you had pushed off till the second or third book and bring them into the first book to complete some storylines before you move on.
Right.
So if you're like setting up A, B, C, and D in the first book and you're resolving A, B, C, and D in the third book, you may resolve A and B in the first book so that it feels kind of complete, and then introduce E and F in the second book and start telling some new stories, like you talk about having side stories and all, and you can work some of those into the later books to make them feel more complete. But the reason that I asked about the Fallout Equestria was another option, and one that is being taken by a lot of people, is just self-publishing it, not as a print book, but publishing it out there online for free. And a lot of people will tell you, oh, publishers won't touch a book if it's already been published out there for free. I happen to know several cases in which this is not true, from mainstream science fiction, which took a book that had been published on a blog, John Scalzi's Old Man's War, he published on his blog. Tor Books saw it and said, we would like to publish that, and it became a New York Times bestseller. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, one of his most recent books did, but it became one of his best-selling books. I mean, it still sells well.
Cat Valenti's Fairyland.
Cat Valenti's Fairyland was published free online and then as a print book. Mm-hmm. So Full of Press has published a book this year that was serialized in a live journal online in its entirety. So that is not a barrier anymore. The more savvy publishers are realizing that people who follow a book online will also usually go buy it, and you have a whole big audience that does not want to read the books online or did not get the chance to read the books online because they didn't hear about them. But putting it out there online is a good way, especially if you have a trilogy, where you can put the first book out and get people talking about it. If it's good enough that it gets people coming back and asking for more.
Yeah, having a built-in fan base, like when you go to a publisher, is only a good thing for you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And with the Fallout Equestria, obviously they did make a printing, but they, as said, they made one-off printings that completely just paid for the print itself, because they didn't want to actually have to go and contact lawyers for both Bethesda and Hasbro and be like, hey, by the way, guys, we're printing this book. What do you think?
Right, so they made it
It's about gun ponies. How does that make you feel?
Gun ponies.
All right.
We have our new question here. Greetings, ruddery and swishy. And
feathery.
Cloppy. Oh wait, no, that's a bad thing. I shouldn't say that.
Well, that's the secret gif of yeah. No, that's fine. I don't. The thing is that
this is an adult podcast.
I know. I've been on ones that for the brony fandom too. There is. Yeah, it's because I do so much more related to that. I haven't actually done much with Flain anymore, and I still kind of hold him as a totem and everything like that. But it's just I'm far more identified online by my other personality. I've got I've nearly hit 2,000 posts on my Twitter feed, Bronyville, and 1,200 followers.
Nice.
So, my question is regarding ebooks and the many different and growing formats. With all the major electrical giants at each other's throats battling for world domination, I worry it could mean complications for their availability in media. Books seem to be a prime example of this. I have a Sony reader, the new one, so thin and light I sometimes worry I'll mistake it for a cracker, spread Philadelphia all over it, and serve it to my fox one morning.
That's Philadelphia cream cheese.
Yes.
I imagine
not
taking
Philadelphia, the Tom Hanks Antonio Banderas movie.
Now I'm just imagining taking a Philly cheesesteak and just rubbing it just right on top of it. Get some cheese whiz going.
I recommend that for any
No.
Now, if I were to get all the books I want in ebook, I would either need to buy 3 more readers, a Kindle, a Nook, and a Kobo, or install all the relevant apps. Either way, there's no uniformity to it. It's not organized and certainly not sexy in the slightest. It's all thanks to the exclusive format types. One reader can't read this type of ebook, and none other can. Alright, competition, that, quote, beneficial race to provide the better service, is it in fact limiting our access to media? For instance, films, there has always been a quick spout to discover the triumphant format, but thereafter one format, Betamax failed to VHS, VCD lost to DVD, and then HD DVD fell against Blu-ray. It's easy. We all have DVDs or Blu-ray. There's no exclusive to this format, hence the triple play packs were born, one pack containing both, and then the digital download. You don't see triple packs for books. How could they now? So now to the point of my email, can we either rise a revolution against all e-reader providers and make them go back to the good old days when any reader could run any ebook type? Or could you please bring your furry goodness to the land of Google Books so I can add your works on my immortal and everlasting bookshelf? May your ears twitch wisely. Not sure what that means. Tatsu Aikuchi.
Viva la revolution.
So yeah, I've done a lot with ebooks, and I don't know how it's going to shake out. Right now, I'm not
Yeah.
too inconvenienced by the different formats because I have a Kindle reader on my iPad. I have a Kindle. I have Kindle software on my Mac and phone. I've got Nook software if I want Nook. I can read books through Google Play or whatever. I have iTunes Bookshelf. So, I mean, basically with Kindles have pretty much everything I want.
Yeah.
I've not ever been in a situation, I don't read a lot of ebooks, but I have never been in a situation where there was a book that I wanted that was not on Kindle or not on a platform that I wanted.
Yeah. It's less of a problem for mainline book stuff, I think.
Google is a real interesting format because the storefront is not too bad, but their author side I've been having a lot of problems with lately. Like, I've tried uploading 2 books over the past 4 months, and neither of them have shown up in my library. I've tried uploading them every way they've told me I can do it, and they eventually got to the point where they said, well, you can email them to us and we'll upload them. And I'm like, I would like a reproducible process that does not depend on you answering your email. Barnes & Noble and Amazon have been, and Apple actually, have been the 3 that have been the best to deal with for me. And I do think that ultimately Amazon and Apple are the 2 that are going to end up defining the market. I don't see Amazon going away. What I see possibly happening down the road is converters, where someone will where you'll be able to have a legal way to purchase or to take a purchased Kindle book and convert it to the equivalent EPUB.
It's like whoever gets that sorted out is going to make a million, like right there.
Yeah, but it's the legality. I mean, the software is easy.
Yeah, I'm actually looking through some right now, just to try and find some. There's like a Calibre that is here, and it goes through a whole range of them. But they specifically say if it's Kindle or Nook, you're going to have a problem. They recommend Sony a whole bunch. So
Calibre is not bad. Yeah, Sony's weird. I'm not going to get into the whole ebook thing. We're trying to keep our time a little short. But the other thing that you bring up is the multi-packs, and I actually have seen people selling, and this is mostly like small press, but like at Comic-Con, we bought a comic book, and it included a postcard that said basically, get a free ebook version of this comic since you've bought the print version. So I am seeing a lot of small press people do that. I can't do that for a number of practical and legal reasons right now for my books.
Well, yeah.
But I think that's coming, and give the market a few years to sort things out. I think the HD Blu-ray thing sorted itself out about 3 years before I thought it was going to. It just happened really, really fast.
Yeah.
So, one last question for Flain to read.
Hey,
and it's the very last one that starts. Good evening, Sheathers.
oh hello.
Shady people.
Hello, sheathy people.
Oh, there we go. It's starting to dim on me. Good
Just tap
evening,
it. It'll come back.
Sheathers. I've been in the furry fandom for just over half my life now, and the name Kindrel has been with me since the very beginning. It's become a part of me to the point that even my parents recognize it as my, oh boy, a sobriquet. There you go. I like that one better. This could have been a difficult situation given the topic of many of my stories. To avoid this, we've come to an agreement. I send them things I've written that are appropriate for them to read, and they agreed not to go searching for more. I know that nicknames have been a source for some mystery of you two in the past. I'm curious how you've used that degree of anonymity to keep a gulf between your furry and non-furry lives. Have there been choices that you've made that were either forced by or because of your dual personalities? And how have they affected your authoritative relationships on either side of the veil? Good to see you casting again your pro-vulpine proselyst, Cadril. Ooh, that one's almost irrelevant.
I know. So, so you're known by a different name on your podcast, are you?
I go by AppleCider, and the only reason I chose that it was simply okay. All these people have things that are associated with something that they do. I enjoy drinking, but it has to be kid safe. AppleCider, there, done. That is much thought as I put into it.
What is kid safe drinking?
Cider is safe.
Butterbeer.
Yeah. Only outside of the United States does cider have a particular connotation. And then there was an entire episode where the town went crazy about cider, and the jokes kept coming from that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so I do live in a kind of weird way, so that I have, a furry badge that is, hey, I'm Flain, and then a pony badge that is, hey, I'm AppleCider. And I get recognized for both now, and it's very bizarre. But I don't mind it. FC is going to be the first time. I think I'm going to be, FC last year I ran around mostly as Flain. This will be the first time that I think I'll be running around with both, because not only they have, there's going to be MLP events at FC, as well as they have one of the writing staff that's going to be there this year. So, yeah, that's going to be fun. Oh, you guys could have them on this. We could all combine together. I could ask Pony questions. You could write writing questions. It's perfect.
Talk to Kit.
I could ask a question and be like, so like in the beginning of Applebuck season, how lazy is Twilight Sparkle that she teleports like 2 feet away like 5 times in a row?
Yeah, really.
And like the whole point is she's like, trying to, like, I know she's trying to encourage Applejack not to overwork herself, but come on.
Kyle, look what I'm doing to your show. Look at the infection I bring. We have to.
So KM, answer the question about identities.
Yeah, so I started using this name actually when I was young and when I was new. Those are the 2 main reasons that I had it. Even among other furries, I didn't want people to know, like, oh, you're writing the adult things, and I was young enough and inexperienced enough to think that, oh, that's going to cast me in a negative light. And as I've mentioned before, both on the podcast and in several of my journals, I kind of wish I had discarded the alternate persona earlier, because I think in the long run, I think it kind of dug me into a hole that was harder to get out of, until I finally was like, okay, look, here's who I really am. Here's where you can find all of my stuff.
You mean it kind of split the audience for your work?
Yeah, I think I did. And I don't think that was to my benefit. I think it kept me from being able to talk more openly about my writing experience on the show for a long time, too. Because people would ask questions about novel writing, and I was like, well, I'm going to try to stay out of this as much as possible. And it was really silly and kind of stupid. And plus, like, the other thing is that if you ever meet me in person, there's no way you would ever mistake me for not being. I mean, like, I stand out in the crowd. Yeah,
someone did.
Yeah, I had somebody who had known me for 10 years not recognize me for wearing fake glasses while my hair was dyed electric blue. I'm like, are you serious? Like, are you serious? I put on Clark Kent glasses and suddenly you honestly don't know who I am? Shame on you.
Well, to be fair,
I'm wearing glasses now and people think I'm different.
I will say that facial recognition is something that, we don't talk about as much as people have different degrees. You kind of know there's people who are like, oh, I have a terrible memory for faces. But it's not something that we talk about as having, like, varying by degrees across the population, but it is something that different people have different levels of being able to recognize faces. And I actually have a friend who's prosopagnostic. Prosopagnosia. Right.
Yeah.
And
so many big words on this show.
Basically what that means is she doesn't recognize people by their faces.
Oh, yeah.
And unless, she after it takes a long time and several encounters, like, with coworkers that she sees every day, she recognizes them. There's no problem. But she's kind of gotten into the habit of whenever she passes someone and people do that kind of polite nod hello, she always says hi in case it's someone she knows who's just wearing different clothes. And she's had incidents where, like, she's had friends at events who went away and came back wearing different clothes, and she didn't recognize them. Mm-hmm. They had to be like, it's me, it's so-and-so. And she'd be like, oh, you changed your jacket. And, So I kind of, we're all amused by it because we there's generally this kind of baseline level of facial recognition where we're all like, we should recognize the guy who's, 6 foot tall with blue hair.
Yeah.
But for some people, the particular details that they key in on are things like, or more, standout things like clothing and glasses and whatever. And when you key in on that, so I'm trying to make excuses for him, but I'll answer the question real quick because it's starting to become more relevant to me. I'd taken on the persona Kyle Gold to write more adult stuff and more furry stuff. And when I started getting more seriously into writing for more mainstream science fiction, I was keeping my own name. The problem was that I also had joined this group, which I think I've talked about, called the Outer Alliance, which is for queer fantasy and science fiction writers. And because I'd written all these gay fiction books as Kyle Gold, I joined that group as Kyle Gold. Well, those people... Those people? What do you mean, those people? The Outer Alliance people, who are wonderfully nice people, actually, we've started going to some of the same conventions. A bunch of them attended Worldcon. Of course, many of them are going to be at Galaxicon, where I'll be a guest in just over 3 weeks. Just under 3 weeks. And so I was in the position of going to these science fiction cons under my real name because I had a lot of people who knew me under that name, but then also having to explain to people that, oh, I'm also Kyle Gold. And the cool thing is, in the science fiction community, people use aliases so much that nobody even blinked an eye at it. They're like, oh, you use this other name to write this other stuff. That's cool. Whatever. There is actually... Shauna Maguire was nominated for 4 Hugo Awards, 2 as Shauna Maguire and 2 as Mira Grant.
Oh, wow.
So, the pseudonym thing in the science fiction world is really easy to figure out. And I think, honestly, I've become less self-conscious about the adult stuff that I'm writing as it's become more accepted over the past few years, and as I've gotten myself away from living in the tech world where people might Google and find it. So I'll probably, over the coming months, be a little more open about my real identity as some of the stuff that I publish under that name comes out as well. It's actually very possible that that at the time, whenever I publish Collations, whoever I publish it with, that I'll put that under my real name because there's no adult stuff in it, and it's less furry than a lot of my other work. So I might publish that under my real name, in which case all of you guys will know about it.
And I know a bunch of people who are just aghast at the idea, because all of my novels and books that I have out they have my real name on them. They're like, oh my god, how can you do that? Aren't you worried? And the answer is no, I'm not worried.
I'm not going to run for office one day.
If I did, what are they going to do?
You just don't go higher than mayor.
I had this amusing vision that I shared with Kit the other day of I decided to run for office, and then suddenly people were like, have you seen this fur affinity site with all these pictures of the candidate on it? He's like a fox getting boned by a wolf.
That's not who I voted for.
Me neither.
Lol, topical.
Anyway, we are... Kit is waving me to close down the show, but we would like to
there's something...
close it off with a gift for our guest Flain.
All right.
Which we brought back
poster
from, I believe, the wilds of San Diego.
These are hard to come by. I also noticed that up on the during the interview, there is the San Diego Comic-Con Derpy packages up there, and all I thought is how much my Twitter fans would just adore and both hate me just laying there with 3 of them in my arms.
There'll be one at Rainforest.
Rainforest?
There will be one at Rainforest in the charity auction.
Yes, but let's see. This is the Applejack San Diego Comic-Con poster. Yay.
Oh, yeah?
Actually, I have some... Yeah, look at that sucker.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Apple bucking in its best. Independence.
What's the
I
quote?
harvested the entire sweet apple acre... Oh, hold on. I harvested the entire sweet apple acres without your help. How you like them apples?
Weirdly enough, that's the same episode that I referenced earlier.
Applebuck season.
I can't believe I know that.
Episode 3, 4, season 1,
it's really
episode
early.
4.
Kit, do we have closing music for... we have one more gift.
Oh, yay! Is this the season 2? Oh, nice! This is the fan creation poster.
Oh, I remember that was posted on FA, I think.
Yeah, there was
somebody won one of the slots in it.
Yeah, Hasbro created a fan creation poster, which they created a whole bunch of just random characters, but this one down here, the actual blue character, was a fan creation that they actually put into the poster. So yeah, that's very cool. I actually have not seen this one out in the wild too often. I usually see the other ones that are out there, so that's super cool. Dude, what's up with that OC in the middle? Jeez, dude. A little overzealous
the
there.
one?
Yeah, come on now. I know that there's the Pony OC creator, but tone it down. Dude, just so you know, ponies, they are just as insane about making ridiculous-looking characters as furs. There you go. There's the tying thread.
I will say that I do think it's really cool that Hasbro has embraced the fandom to the extent that they have.
Hasbro, kind of. The production studio, DHX, has really embraced it. They wish they could embrace it more. They wish they could.
Can't hug every fan.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, wait, these are fans that are old enough to hold down jobs and spend money. Like,
Hasbro is still not figured out that they can spend so much money on us that we buy everything. They kind of get wise to it because they release a toy and they're like, this toy is $8, it sells out. $10 sells out. $15 sells out. They're just all right. Just keep kicking it up.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's Pony's dog. It's crazy.
Anyway, well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for that brief glimpse into the window of the crazy world of bronies.
Yeah, they are insane,
and
I love them.
And as always, for your NFL wisdom and picks.
And probably being horrifically wrong, but I'll go with it. I'm sure
that's all right.
I'm sure that Jacoby will love my picks.
I was going to say, I think you're Houston. I'll be interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah, really.
Season.
That's my sleeper pick.
Yeah, playing the dark horse.
Yep.
If I may do a quick little outro,
or Dark Pony.
Oh, okay. Real quick again, for quick picks. Week that Tebow will be starting for the Jets.
6.
I'm going to say 4.
Obviously, I have to go 7 then. Have to use the...
Closest without going...
Price is Right.
Yeah, Price is Right method.
Price is Right, $1 jackass.
500, 501.
I love it when they get all the way down the line and the other one's like, 502. Person at 501 is like...
That's why you can't do that when you're like the second to last to go.
$1.
Yeah. Anyway, well, thank you. You've already told people where to find your podcast. Anything else you want people to be able to locate?
Hold on, I can charge this up. I do this at the end of every episode.
Do it.
All right, you can find my podcast over at bronyvillepodcast.com or bronyshow.com. Please review us on iTunes if you listen to the show and you enjoy it. We do have the 717 ratings that helps us out and helps battle us against Kevin Smith.
Help push it to 719.
I was going to say, will you pimp out your listeners to listen to our show?
I
so
could.
We can get even like 200 stars. Like,
it's ridiculous.
You don't even have to listen to it; just rate it.
I could. I tell them
they totally got AppleCider.
I'll show you. I'll show them. I'll point them around.
One of their podcasts I was knew about Apple season.
Oh my god, ponies.
Oh my god.
You can listen to my show live on Celestia Radio every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 p.m. UTC, and then we do have our own particular group. I have my Twitter account as @Bronyville, and then I also have a meetup group, the Bonk, the Bronies of Northern California.
Nice.
There you go.
I am Cam Hirosaki everywhere I'm able to be found. If you don't find me, I'm not there.
I'm Kyle Gold on Twitter, Kyle Gold on LiveJournal, Kyle on FA, Kyle on Sofurry, and our podcast is Unsheathed on iTunes. You can email us at unsheathedpodcast@gmail.com. We may sporadically decide to record an episode and read your question. You
Hopefully
have
more than
just been listening to proof that it happens.
Yeah.
Also, KM and I record we live stream podcast episodes of about half an hour, generally every Monday. Follow our Twitter feeds because they are like flash podcast episodes. They just happen. and we don't always know ahead of time when they're going to. Also, if you are attending Rainforest or know somebody who does, or who will,
Who will have been there.
come to our Unsheathed live recording, which will be happening sometime during the con. I think it's Saturday night?
I have no idea.
Oh, wait,
when
isn't it actually? Is it? Oh, no, 8 p.m. was at Rocky Mountain FurCon. No, I got my programming list for Rainforest. I can't remember if it's Friday or Saturday night. But
we'll be there.
But follow our Twitter feeds, and we will be there.
I'll
And
be there with my bucket.
Come to my book launch party Thursday at 9 p.m. of
Does
my
Flain not know about the bucket?
of my new book,
might not know about your
Winter
bucket.
Games,
Oh yeah, Winter Game.
Can you show me your bucket after the show?
I don't have it with me. Yeah.
which Cam Hirosaki got to see in print for the first time
did.
today
It's
because
pretty.
because Fur Planet sent me an advance copy very nicely. It came out great. I think the art came out really, really nice.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy with the layout and the printing and everything. So it's a very nice looking book. It will be released Thursday, September 27th at 9 p.m.
There will be cupcake.
There will be cupcake. And you all
That's
have
a
to
special
show up
term
to
in my area. Don't say that.
you all have to show
I
up
said, that's
to
another
force,
infamous My Little Pony fan fiction creation.
Oh God!
force
Yeah.
Ash into a panic about
That's
how many
right, I
people
know
are
about
showing
that,
up to
too.
eat
Yeah,
his
you
food.
do.
You sick fucks.
And anyway, thank you for listening. Good night, everybody, and keep writing as always.
Ooh, Rainbow Dash earplugs. I got to go get pierced.